administration of the school, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the position oath ceremony of the 17th class of the Medical School for International Health. Allow me to introduce our honored guest, Professor Tzvia Cohen, the Rector of the University, Ben-Gurion University, Professor Amos Katz over there, the Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences, Director of the Medical School for International Health, Professor Mark Larfield, I think you all know where he is, MSIH Associate Director of North America, Dr. Link Patel, there, yes, and of course our distinguished guest of honor, alumni of the class of 2012, Dr. Catherine Horan. Distinguished guests, faculty members, students and family and friends here in Beersheba, as well as those watching live over the internet, thank you all for honoring us with your presence. I would like to invite Professor Mark Larfield to make his introductory remarks.
Thank you, Laura. Since I'm altitudinally challenged. So you can see me. I can see you. How are you? Good evening, everybody. Our honored guests, I won't name you all again, but it's good to see Professor Glick and his wife. It's good to see Professor Carmen Margos and his wife, old friends. So Rivka Karmi sends her regrets. She doesn't regret being away, but she regrets not being able to be here. She's out of the country. She normally, along with Professor Cohen and Professor Katz, would be here and greet you. And this school means a lot to her. You will hear that another time. I'm not going to spend a lot of time because it's an interesting and fun program today, but I want to say one thing. I think the class of 2018, you're very courageous, and I want to tell you why I think that. I think that because the decision to study medicine is not an easy one. You know, you have a sense of what's awaiting. It's not an easy profession. It requires a lot of work, it requires a lot of study, it requires a lot of money. Your whole life you're tied up in this profession. It's like being married, and it's also pretty hard to divorce from this profession once you're in it. So just to study medicine, you're very courageous. To study medicine abroad, doesn't matter where you go, is also a very brave and courageous thing. It would be easier for you to have stayed home in Toronto or Detroit or Holland or Colombia, wherever you come from. It would be easier. But you're here, and I think it's very, very courageous of you to study abroad. It's courageous of you to study here because you didn't really know how quiet and peaceful Israel and Beersheba are until you got here. And you're very, very courageous for having stayed and come early on. This was a tough beginning to school, and I think you guys are wonderful that you stuck with it, and we're so happy that you did, and we're so happy that you're a class. I promise you one thing, you won't be sorry that you studied this medical school. I promise you that. When I was in medical school, the dean pulled a little trick on us, and he said, you know this story, look to the right of you, look to the left of you, one of you won't be here in 4 years. And that wasn't true, but he said that to frighten us. So I want you to look to the right and the left of you just now. You'll all be here in 4 years if you do what you have to do. You'll all be here. And you'll all graduate, and it'll happen very, very quickly. And I promise you that, not that you'll all be here in 4 years, I'm sure you will, it's up to you more than to us, but I promise you that we'll make it as easy and as fun and as interesting as possible to get to the end of the 4 years and to graduate. So congratulations, Mazal Tov. I'm very, very happy you all came tonight, and I know you'll have a wonderful time. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Clarfield. I would like to invite the Ben-Gurion University, Rector of the University, Professor Tzvia Cohen, to address the audience. Professor Cohen.
I can see you. Can you see me? Professor Amos Katz, where are you? Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences, Professor Mark Larfield, Director of the Medical School for International Health, our guest of honor, Dr. Catherine Horan, students, guests, and friends, good evening. It's a pleasure to welcome you to Ben-Gurion University and to this ceremony, which launches the studies in the BGU MD program in International Health and Medicine of the class of 2018. Your degrees vary from humanistic studies to chemistry, political science to molecular biology, You have master's degree from different universities such as Columbia University in the United States, Simon Fraser University in Canada, the University of South Wales in Australia. You come from the US, Canada, Australia, Colombia, the Netherlands, Italy, China, India, and even from Israel. You speak many different countries, but the common denominator that brought you here, and not to any other medical school, is the desire to provide medical assistance to the less affluent countries. Medical research caters predominantly for the needs of the affluent world. However, this attitude leaves entire nations, amounting to over 1 billion people worldwide, under or not at all treated medically. Not only is this attitude immoral, but it also proves time after time to be a penny-wise and pound-foolish policy. Neglected diseases of the third world can be spread at a frightening speed and become pandemic diseases. In many cases, spread of one disease set the ground for other diseases. About a century ago, the Spanish flu killed almost 100 million people worldwide, and that was at the time when air transportation was virtually inexistent. Ebola, which is much more lethal and not less infective, has the potential of killing even more if, or rather when, it will spread beyond the 3 infected countries in Africa. Global health is now a major concern of the entire world, not just that of the third world countries. You are among the very few who chose to focus on global health and should be proud and praised for this decision. Many will follow you in the coming years, but you will always be remembered as having the vision to be among the first to do so. The world needs more doctors like you who would be willing to study the diseases that Western world countries are less interested in. We need many more doctors to train the personnel in Africa, and even more so to treat their diseases and patients. Medicine is changing rapidly. New technologies and procedures are introduced at an ever-increasing rate. However, we expect you to also have a personal medicine, one that will actually listen to the patient and understand that people from different cultures may express themselves differently and may require a better understanding not only of the disease, but also of their actual needs. Ben-Gurion University is striving to be a leading research university and an excellent teaching facility. And yet, we do not reside in an ivory tower. We care about our environment, both physical and the human. This is the reason why we are the only university in Israel that has an Africa Center on the one hand and a School for International Medicine on the other hand. The values on which this program is based on are the achievement of excellence with a humane and social orientation and a friendly and fruitful yet challenging environment for the students. I believe you will reflect these values when in the field treating your patients. I wish all of you a lot of success in your studies and a good time in university as well as in Israel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Cohen. I would like to invite Professor Amos Katz, the Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences, to address the audience.
Dear students and distinguished guests, it's a special pleasure to welcome you and Dr. Catherine M. Horn of the Bi-State Medical Center, Tufts University, as our guest of honor at this meaningful ceremony. To our 30 new students, welcome to Beersheba, the historical city of Abraham, today the capital of the southern Negev area of Israel, and welcome to the Ben-Gurion University, named after and inspired by the vision of the Israel's father of the nation, the first Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion, who believed that the country's future lies in this region of the Negev. And I will quote one of his aphorisms: wisdom goes with thought. Whoever seeks wisdom, south he shall go. End of quote. Let me assume that this is one of the reasons that you are here. In 1996, Columbia and Ben-Gurion University embarked on a novel collaboration in medical education by the establishment of the MD program, International Medicine and Health, The Medical School for International Health, the MSIH, is to a very large extent has fulfilled its mission and vision by the realization of an innovative education model to graduate doctors with special skills in primary care and community, preventive and population-based medicine, a program that is designed to address emerging issues in global health care for the 21st century. Dear students, you have been selected based on your skills and unique qualities. You have each come from a strong conviction of making a difference not only in your own life, but in that of the world's population. You have come far from your home, from different cultures, to a country with a heterogeneous population and complex political situation. You have come with a strong motivation and personal mission to pursue your medical studies and to acquire the skills to treat individuals, to promote health and to prevent diseases in the population. During the next 4 years, you will be at the forefront of a new kind of medical education that addresses the needs for physicians who are sensitive to personal and population needs, community issues, and global concern. The Faculty of Health Sciences was established in 1974 by the late Professor Moshe Privas, founding dean and visionary, and Professor Chaim Doron, then Director General of Kupat Cholim, the largest HMO, is a small medical school with 31 students, similar to your number. I have the honor to be a graduate of this first class of the medical school. The faculty comprises today of 5 schools, several programs, and enrollment of more than 2,500 students. Among the most striking features of our medical school is the persistent effort to cultivate humane, empathic, caring, and communicative professionals. This is reflected in many aspects in the curriculum. The patient is viewed as a suffering human being with his or her beliefs, perception, culture, psychological trait, and social network rather than a case. As student of the MSIH, you have joined the rank of our faculty. You represent 13 new students who are entering the 17th class of this unique program aimed at graduating doctors with special knowledge and skills in cross-cultural global health and medicine, in addition to preparing them and you for the traditional role as clinician researchers. I wish you all 4 memorable and rewarding years of study in Beersheba. I'm sure that this period will serve and sustain you as a lifelong experience and prepare you for your future careers. May this period be one of great academic achievement and general enrichment, a period that you will remember and treasure for life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Katz. I would like to invite our first-year students to perform. Sam Niesman, Justin Michoy, and Chase Smith. They'll be singing Hallelujah. 1974, when the late Professor Moshe Frivis, founding dean of the Ben-Gurion University Faculty of Health Sciences, decided that medical students should be sworn in at the beginning rather than, as previously customary, at the end of their studies. In this tradition, established by Professor Frivis, students of the first year class will now take the physician oath. I call upon Professor Shimon Glick, past dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences and Professor Emeritus of Ben-Gurion University, to approach. Students, please rise.
New physicians, you stand today in the presence of your teachers of medicine and its precepts. You enter into a covenant with medicine to fulfill its commitments to the best of your ability with wisdom and integrity. That there may be established a generation of physicians motivated actively and dedicated faithfully to aid the suffering human being. This is the covenant into which I enter with you today. You are charged to stand at the side of the suffering individual, day and night, at all times and at all hours. You shall protect human life maximally from the mother's womb, and let its welfare ever be your chief concern. You shall help the ill, whether stranger, alien, or citizen, of whatever social status. You shall seek to fathom the soul of those who are sick, to restore their spirit through understanding and compassion. Do not be hasty in judgment, but consider your advice carefully tempered with wisdom in the crucible of experience. Be faithful to those who put their trust in you. Do not reveal their secrets, nor act as a gossip. Honor and respect your teachers who have labored to guide you in the path of medicine. Guard the honor of your colleagues zealously, for their honor is your own. Increase wisdom and do not become worn down by the struggle, for wisdom is your life and it has the power to sustain life. Use your wisdom for the health of the public as well to bring healing to the ills of the community. May the words of this covenant be close and dear to you, articulated clearly, and felt deeply, that you may carry them out. Amen. And you will all respond, Amen. Amen.
Amen. We will act accordingly.
Thank you.
I would like to ask Dr. Lynn Quittel, our Associate Director, to please introduce our guest speaker.
Mark, I think I'm challenged also. I need the little bench there. So I bring greetings from everybody in the New York office, Dr. Deckelbaum, Sarah, Alice, Kelly, and Denise. And I always have the distinct pleasure of meeting all of you before anybody else meets you. So, and it's really a very special honor for me to be able to sort of see you through this entire process over the next 4 years. And along the same vein, it's really an amazing honor and pleasure for me to see our graduates, Dr. Horan as an example, and to really see you come in, you start, you feel like you're never going to come out the other end. And then we see our graduates who are just doing incredible, amazing things. And I think Dr. Horan should really serve as an inspiration to all of us as to what this school can create. Dr. Horan graduated from McGill University as her undergraduate and then received an MPH, a Master's of Public Health, from Boston University's School of Public Health. She graduated MSIH in 2012, and when I read her resume, I was really amazed. It's the resume of somebody who's much older. It was really quite impressive. She is now in the middle of her pediatric residency, which made me happy since I'm a pediatrician, at Bay State Medical Center at Tufts University School of Medicine. And she really has a very impressive resume. During her residency, she has already received 3 awards, and during medical school, she received several additional awards. And what's really striking is that throughout all of this, she has been a very strong advocate for global health advancement and curriculum development through her medical school education and also now through her residency. And it's really with great pleasure that I invite Dr. Horing to give our talk tonight. Thank you.
Bench as well. Hi everybody, hi again, if you were at my talk yesterday. And thank you, Dr. Cattell. I'd like to start by thanking Professor Clarfield, behind the screen over there, and the MSIH Alumni Committee for inviting me here today. It's truly a great honor, and I'm really delighted to come back. I didn't anticipate how much I was going to desperately miss this place. I also want to extend a big thank you to, where is the camera for people? Is this it? Okay. Thank you to our beloved family and friends watching at home. Being far away from your families is one of the hardest things you have to do as an international student. And all I can really say about that is that they are oceans and continents away, but they are here with you every step of the way. As Dr. Cattell said, I'm a very recent graduate, the class of 2012. I'm a third-year resident, which makes me 2/3 of a pediatrician. I don't have decades of wisdom or experience to share with you, but what I do have is a genuine love for this school and a genuine passion for global health. I knew this program was right for me the minute I found out about it. It didn't matter where it was. It was made for me, and I needed to go. And I am where I want to be today because of it. And I would gladly choose it again without hesitation. In preparation for this event, again, drawing attention to my lack of actual credentials, I was thinking a lot about what a Physician's Oath ceremony symbolizes, and more specifically, what does our Physician's Oath ceremony symbolize, being such a unique school. As a pediatrician, I've learned that if you need to figure anything out, the best thing to do is to find the nearest child and ask them what they think. So what I ended up doing over the past few weeks was to ask a number of my patients, ranging in age from 2.5, actually 2 3/4, he wanted me to know that, to 16, about what sort of advice they would give to someone on how to be a good doctor. And as always, the children delivered. They had excellent insights, and I'm going to share with you word for word a few of the things that they had to say. Brian is 3.5, and his advice was pretty straightforward. He said, "You should always have stickers and lollipops." I want you to remember that for the rest of your lives. This isn't really a life lesson, I just thought it was cute. And he was actually the very first child that I asked, and I was kind of worried that this approach wasn't going to work. But moving on, we have the wisdom of Jada, who is 6. When I asked her what a doctor is supposed to do, she looked at me and pointed her finger and said, "You need to be nice." I thought immediately about my classmates. I vividly remember I was in the 4th row. I was in your seat, actually. I remember everything about this moment because I was so happy to finally be here. I was blessed with a wonderful class. Some of the greatest people I could have ever hoped to know who have become really great doctors. No one will be more important to you in the next few years than the people sitting next to you right now. We're holding this ceremony late in the year for unforeseen reasons, and I'm sure you've already realized after just a few months how quickly and how deeply you will bond to each other. And some of these bonds are going to last for the rest of your lives. It's still amazing to reflect on everything we went through together as a class. We got each other through seemingly endless series of lectures, paperwork, and exams. We watched our first patients die together. We delivered our first babies together. We bonded together in grief when 2 of our classmates lost their mothers. Sorry. But then we went to each other's weddings. 2 of our classmates even ended up marrying each other. It was quite the scandal. And we welcomed 5 healthy new babies to this world. Attending MSIH made this school and this city my address, but my classmates made it a home. Or at least a home away from home. I didn't really mean that, Mom. That being said, it wasn't all desert sunsets and fat babies.
You won't all be best friends, and you don't have to be. But the question of kindness and being nice to each other raises a deeper question, which is that of professionalism. This is something that I have come to value as one of the most important traits of any physician. The way you treat each other now as classmates is your first real lesson in professional conduct. Are you showing each other respect? Are you acting like teammates? Do you measure your success only by another's relative failure, or do you stand solidly on your own 2 feet? Can you communicate concerns appropriately? Can you resolve interpersonal conflict with dignity and fairness? I truly believe that the way you interact with each other now is a prelude to how you will interact with each other as doctors. When medical students don't get along, it can be unpleasant. But when doctors can't get along, work together, communicate, put their egos aside, it can actually kill people. You will spend a lot of time sitting in the classroom, especially in your first 2 years, and it often feels like all you're here to do is learn facts and take tests. But remember at all times that you are forging your professional identity as a physician. Be nice to each other. All right, let's lighten things up a little bit. That got a little dark. Troy is 2 3/4, and he had some nice advice for us. He thinks a good doctor needs to go out and play. Burnout and stress are incredibly important problems in our field. The concept of self-care for physicians has become increasingly popular over the years and widely accepted. You see more and more residencies in medical schools with mindfulness programs and all that jazz. But it's very difficult in practice to actually do. Medical school is extremely hard and at times very, very stressful. And when I say stressful, I mean crying on your bed in the fetal position on a regular basis, stressful. And when you start residency, that stress does not go away. It simply changes form and actually gets a lot worse. My residency program, which I absolutely love, is Bay State Medical Center, which is part of Tufts University. And it is famously and genuinely very humanistic, and I would highly recommend it. We are treated very well by our administration and our attendings, and even still, I think becoming a doctor is quite simply one of the hardest things a person can ever try to do. While you are here, and wherever you end up in the future, you need to remember to take care of yourself. You're not surrendering these 4 years of your life only to study. You also need to live. When you really feel the stress, or another deadline is approaching, or you're exhausted after a long day on the wards, sometimes the best thing to do is to go out and play a little. I took up yoga about a year ago. I know it's a little cliche, but it has actually really changed my life, and I think it's made me a better doctor. So be sure to find something that you enjoy and that helps you to relax. On the other hand, don't take it too far. Israel offers endless temptations. I'm sure you already have felt that. You have Mediterranean beaches, 1 hour to the west, the Dead Sea 1 hour to the east, desert hikes, historic ruins, and some of the world's most fascinating and treasured cities. Enjoy yourself and engage in your surroundings, but stay focused and remember at all times what it is you've signed on to do. You're taking on the responsibility of another person's well-being. My most treasured piece of advice in regards to your studying is that the most dangerous pattern you can get into is to say, I'm going to learn that later. Manuela is 16. She has ovarian cancer, and she's been in the hospital repeatedly for a variety of infections. She's thought a lot about being ill, and she wanted us to remember that being sick is really scary. Sometimes I don't understand what's happening, and sometimes the doctors don't listen. If technology, pathology, and physiology are the sciences of medicine, compassion, communication, and empathy are its arts. With our focus on global health and cross-cultural medicine, I believe MSIH does an exceptional job of teaching us how to communicate and listen. Our graduates are renowned for being adaptable, humanistic, and undeterred from cultural, economic, and logistical barriers. We find a way to make things work, and that doesn't take a particular set of magical skills, it just takes commitment. I believe the ultimate act of respect you can show a patient is to strive to understand things through their own eyes. Most of us come as strangers to this land, and we face the challenge of adapting to a completely different way of life. And this school isn't just anywhere. It's in Israel, in case you hadn't noticed. This tiny dot on the world map has changed life as we know it more than any other place has. Life here has very unique complications and challenges, but in turn it has very unique rewards. There is a wonderful parable in the Jewish tradition of a man who was wandering through a forest and he sees a light shining through a window in the distance. He goes up to the house, he looks inside, and he sees something that really upsets him. There's a group of people that are twisting and writhing in strange ways with bizarre looks on their faces. And he's afraid and he runs away. But the moral of the story is that this man is deaf. Had he not been, he would have heard the music and he would have known that they were simply dancing. So try to keep that man in the back of your mind. Keep your eyes open, your ears open, and your hearts open, and fully embrace the experience of being here. Approaching people with understanding and empathy is particularly important when you deal with vulnerable populations. For the past 2 years, I've had the incredible privilege of working at Caring Health Medical Center, which is a small primary care clinic that sees all newly arrived refugees to Western Massachusetts. Aya is an 8-year-old girl who had her childhood stolen from her by violent conflict. She spent almost all of her life in a refugee camp in Tanzania. I met her about a year ago, only 8 days after she had arrived to her new home in the United States. After our interaction together, she had one simple request, which has haunted me for the past year. Don't hurt me. Now, I feel I should clarify that I wasn't actually threatening her in any way. She was looking at a big pile of vaccines that we were about to give her, and she was starting to get a little anxious. But I found her words to be really haunting, and I haven't forgotten them. First of all, they clearly make us recall the most famous line of the traditional Hippocratic Oath, which is, "First, do no harm." We are doctors. It seems so simple. We wouldn't hurt anyone, but we hurt people all the time. Maybe it's the small, forgivable pinch of a needle, or it could be the fatal mistake of a missed cardiac murmur. But far more often, it's not something that we do with our own hands, but something that we don't do at all. It's the good that we could have achieved but did not. Global health, which sets this school apart from all others, has at its core the concepts of equity and advocacy. We're not just here to become doctors. We are here to become the kind of doctors that are truly committed to making things better. In a medical culture that has become increasingly centered around technology, profit, competition, doctors are often falling into the trap of seeing scientific advancement as more important than equity and distributive justice. In my mind, those are the benchmarks against which our efforts are truly measured. In a way, I think of MSIH as part of a force that is fighting back, challenging the accepted norms and helping to forge a new generation of socially and globally conscious health professionals. I have been able to keep a strong global health focus in medical school and in residency, and I think it's important to remember that whatever stage of your career you're at, you never have to put your passions on the back burner. In my case, it was the very thing that kept me going. I gave a lecture yesterday on my work in refugee health, and I'd like to just say that Aya is one of 70,000 refugees that was given the chance to resettle to a new home last year. But there are an estimated 12 million refugees currently awaiting placements. 70,000, 12 million. They are desperate for a chance to rebuild their shattered lives, and I just think we can do better. Whatever your interest in global health might be, whether it's refugees, preventative disease, disaster relief, malnutrition, there has never been a better time to start a career in global health. The opportunities for you are vast and growing at a dizzying pace. I'll end now with one last piece of advice, which comes not from a child, but from one of the most famous children's authors of all time. This is me, linking arms with the Cat in the Hat, and this is Dr. Seuss on the other side. This is the Dr. Seuss Memorial Garden in downtown Springfield, Massachusetts, where I happen to be a resident and where he grew up. In the garden, they have built a life-size version of this. What is that? It is the Lorax's house. You didn't know that? No? Okay. The Lorax is a wonderful story about a creature who lives in a forest, and he sees the trees that he loves being cut down and destroyed. He calls upon people everywhere to take up the cause and try to help. He reminds us that change isn't something we can leave for someone else to do. It needs to originate with each and every one of us. We are all responsible for it. I was strolling through this garden a few weeks ago with my little nephew, and at the entrance to the Lorax's house, there's a plaque with, I think, the most beautiful quote from all of children's literature, and it hits upon the very heart of global health and the mission of MSIH. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So what does it mean to be an MSIH alum? It means life offered you a truly unique and adventurous path, and you had the bravery and commitment to follow it. And as Professor Clarfield said, you guys are particularly brave. The world has always needed skilled, humanistic, committed physicians, but it needs you now more than ever. As evidenced by our excellent network of alumni, you will leave this school well-trained and ready to make a strong, positive impact on the world around you. Thank you again for inviting me here today. Welcome, class of 2018, and congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Horan. I would like to invite the representatives of the class of 2018, Aviva Friedman and Luisa Bonilla Hernandez, I hope I pronounced it correctly or something like that, to give the class address. Got them all?
Okay. Distinguished faculty, classmates, and guests, good evening. Thank you for celebrating with us, and congratulations to the class of 2018 on achieving the monumental goal of entering medical school.
2014 was a big year. Sochi played host to the 22nd Winter Olympics. Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 vanished into thin air, while Ebola made quite the appearance. George Clooney was taken off the market, but most importantly, we started medical school. Our class has already been through so much together, living through a barrage of rocket fire in our first few weeks of class, and then going on to survive what has now been more than 2 months of Hebrew classes. We have a lot to be proud of.
But of course, we have a long journey ahead of us. Many of us have dreamed about becoming doctors for many years since we were kids, and the oath that we have taken today is an important first step in acknowledging the responsibilities of this career. And so, as your class representatives, we hope to share some pearls of wisdom with you. First, be patient. You have chosen a career that many have avoided for its high risks and investments. You have to trust that when you're at Caroline House at 3 a.m. studying some dark culture of bacteria for a microbiome final, drinking a cup of watery vending machine coffee, that you're in the right place. It will be a slow but fruitful learning process, and the patience you develop with yourself throughout this time will be seen in the way you treat your patients in the future.
Stay humble. Be fearless about your flaws. You may think that after 20 plus years of schooling, you will be a model doctor. But truly, like any episode of Grey's Anatomy will show you, you will make many, many, many mistakes. We must not be afraid to fail, because from these mistakes, we will grow and become better doctors.
Be respectful. Your parents instilled this idea in you since you were kids, and it still holds true today, especially in medicine. Respect your friends, your family, your classmates, your professors, and in the future, your patients. And doors will open for you.
Work hard and have fun. This is related to the keynote address, I guess, in a way. These will be some of the best, most important years of your life. The friendships and memories you make here will last a lifetime and will make for great stories down the line. You will spend most days and nights with your head in a book, but you mustn't take for granted this beautiful country where we are living. Spend a night camping on the beach, climb Masada at sunrise, and never say no to an opportunity at beating the second and third years at a game of Capture the Flag.
Show gratitude. Say thank you to family and friends for their unwavering support, for standing by you while you cried over MCAT scores maybe once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times. Then you wrote, deleted, rewrote, and rewrote your personal statement for standing by you and reassuring you while you put yourself through the torturous process of medical school application. Then continue to reassure you that you were and are moving in the right direction. They were instrumental in getting you here, and you couldn't have done it without them.
And finally, be passionate. Don't lose sight of your goals, your reasons for being here, or ultimately yourself. To quote one Ellen DeGeneres, follow your passion, stay true to yourself, never follow someone else's path. Unless you're in the woods and you're lost and you see a path, then by all means you should follow that.
Thank you again to everyone for being here with us tonight, and congratulations, class of 2018.
Kyle, do you want to come and give us the honor code? Let me just see. 1 second. This one? Okay.
Uniting from diverse homes and cultures across the globe, we collectively endeavor to uphold the following values in our studies and in our future careers. The achievement of equal health care that is easily accessible for all.
חשיבות לאמונות של כל המטופלים, חמאה לכל הדאגות שלהם וכבוד לאוטונומיה שלהם.
சீரிய மருத்துவ சேவையும் மருத்துவத்துறையில் திறமையும் புரிய வாழ்நாள் முழுவதும் கற்றலுக்கு ஒரு உறுதிமொழி.
Allen te helpen die hulp behoeven, ongeacht hun achtergrond, ras, etniciteit of levensbeschouwing.
献身于改善人民的健康水平与生活状况，无论天涯海角。
Y trataremos a nuestros pacientes y colegas tal como quisiéramos ser tratados.
As the class of 2018, we commit to hold these values and to never forget the reasons we chose to embark on this journey. Thank you.
Thank you, students. Prior to concluding our ceremony, I'd like to invite Dr. Asha Moser, Associate Director of Student Affairs, to announce the Distinguished Service Awards for this year. Please, Dr. Moser. I'll just close it aside.
As customary, we have elected to tie these two ceremonies together. We believe that the incoming class should be aware of all the goodies and activities that the previous classes have been performing. And we have been holding this ceremony for about 6 years now of the Distinguished Service Award for those who have committed time, effort, sometimes also their souls, sometimes also their money, to help others. May it be classmates, may it be people in the community, or may it be outsiders that need translation, help, care, compassion, or whatever is needed at the time. We got a few excellent nominees, and we had to select of them. We selected 5 nominees out of 4 projects to be awarded this Distinguished Service Award. It will also be mentioned on the Dean's letter later on in your future career. And I would like to ask, please, Professor George, would you assist me in honoring our honoring our artists. Please come up as I call your name, and I will talk about it. Daniel Solomon. Daniel Solomon, as it comes. Daniel Solomon is awarded for creating what we call the Big Beard Program. This comes in conjunction with my favorite graduate, Kate Barnes, who's also a pediatrician, in mentioning that this program enables students who are stronger academically to help students who are weaker academically in a manner that is not offending anyone. Once the tests or results come up and academic strengths are acknowledged, he identifies or created a program to identify the better ones, ask their permission, and when those who need help have found out that they have failed exams or are weak in exams, they know who to turn to, and they have already helped without causing too much of a disturbance. So this, in that spirit of being very humanistic and helping others within their own community. Thank you, Daniel. Dov Rosenbaum. Dov Rosenbaum is awarded for his innovative and ongoing efforts to bring the curriculum committee to the present state. We feel very proud and very fortunate to be in such a close and fruitful working with our student bodies. Throughout the 4 years, they help us very much. It is very, very unorthodox of medical school to constantly consult with our students what they think is best to be done. We pride ourselves that we do so, we listen, we don't take all the advice we're given, but some of it is very helpful. Dov has been very, very helpful in creating what is now the current curriculum, or the improvements to the current curriculum. Is heading the committee for a year and is now being very great help. Thank you very, very much. Now for the Jamies. Jamie Borick and Jamie Klein. Please. These two fine young ladies are awarded the Distinguished Service Award for their leadership in creating, maintaining, and being very, very helpful in the women's health interest group. They together were able to create such a program that many, many distinguished guests from all over the campus and outside agreed and were happy to come and participate. I remember Professor Carmi coming in, which was unique. These two ladies have maintained this program very, very hard, and effort is worth this Distinguished Service Award. Thank you very much. Riva Frankel. Riva Frankel is awarded the Distinguished Service Award for the ongoing efforts producing what is now known worldwide as TED times BGU conferences, more or less. Her efforts were so successful that the amount of attendees, both from inside and from outside this region, exceeded the capacity to listen, and there was a waiting list for attending these conferences. Thank you very, very much for helping us being. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Come again next year.
Before we conclude the ceremony, I would like to to thank the MSIH administration staff, and especially Anat. Anat, where are you? All the way in the back there now, hiding. Thank you for organizing, and you'll see all the food outside. It's thanks to Anat. After this, we'll go have dinner, then we'll all come back in at about 8:30, 8:45 for all your performances. I'd like to invite, okay, so the evening's still young. I'd like to invite Lucy He from the class of 2018 to lead singing Hatikva. Lucy? You are. Music on. Could you all please stand for the singing of Hatikva?
Maybe.
Okay.
Here we go.
Sorry. All right, ready? Thank you, and b'teavon to all of you. Bon appetit.